You're listening to All Hands on Tech. Come along as we get to know the people and businesses behind the province's ever-expanding tech sector.
Each episode, we'll chat with local experts to uncover the hidden gems that make Nova Scotia a hub for collaboration, innovation, and creativity.
All Hands on Tech is proudly produced by Digital Nova Scotia, the industry association for Nova Scotia's growing tech sector. Hey, welcome back to another episode of All Hands on Tech. I'm your host, Eilish, and this week we are diving into a conversation about inclusivity, innovation, and the impact of creating a space where queer individuals in tech can thrive. And who better to guide us through that conversation than our next guest, Naoufel Testaouni, who is the CEO of QueerTech. Now, since 2016, QueerTech has been making waves in the Canadian tech ecosystem, breaking barriers and fostering a more inclusive industry. So today we'll be talking about everything from the organization's mission to major events like the QT Conference, Canada's first ever accelerator for the 2S LGBTQIA plus entrepreneurs, and the power of representation in tech. So let's get into it, shall we? Naoufel, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us today, all the way from Montreal, correct?
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Of course. Okay, we start off our podcast every episode. We like to start off with just a couple icebreakers. Are you ready for me to hit you with them?
I'm ready.
Okay, let's get into it. So, first question. If you could live anywhere in the world for just a year, so there is a time limit on this, where would you go and why?
I would say Mexico City.
Okay.
I love Mexico a lot. I visited a lot. I love the culture, the food, the music, and the good weather. So
Nice.
Mexico City it is.
Yeah, and we're talking about that weather, that Canadian weather that we are currently experiencing. It's not too bad today for a day in February, but we could always go a little bit warmer, I think. So yeah, Mexico City is a good place to go. Okay, moving on to the next question. What is your favorite tech gadget, if you can name just one?
My Kindle.
Okay.
I use it a lot, and I love my Kindle. I take it with me everywhere. Yeah, it's one of my favorite gadgets that I use all the time.
Nice. Any good books that you're reading right now?
Yeah, the book I'm reading right now. It's called The Splendid and the Vile. It's the story of Winston Churchill that was written
Oh,
by
yes, okay.
Eric Larson, about World War II and how Churchill managed it. It's fascinating. It's a page turner for sure.
I was going to say just a light read, given everything going on in the world around us, why not get lost in a good book, right? Okay, well, maybe that is kind of the answer for the next question then. What is a hobby or a passion outside of your work that people might be surprised to learn about you?
Yeah, traveling is definitely a big hobby, but cooking. I love cooking and
Okay.
in the kitchen, and so yeah, definitely love and
Nice.
enjoy doing that after work.
Do you have like a signature dish that you always like to make?
Someone who like to cook new things, so
Okay.
we go through phases. Right now, we're going through our like Asia phase. I made
Ooh,
Korean food. I made Japanese food. So,
that sounds
it's
like a
just
good
like
phase. Amazing. Okay, well, aside from hanging out with you in the kitchen, let's hang out about QueerTech and this incredible space that you have created outside of your culinary adventures as well. So everything got started in 2016. Things looked a little different though back then. It wasn't quite, the conferences and the meetups and that sort of thing that we have today. Was there, take me back to the very beginning. Was there, a reasoning behind the idea to get started in the first place? Was there a gap in service or support that you were, trying to fill at the time?
Yeah, I think there are a couple kind of elements to it, right? There is my experience growing up. I was born in Morocco. I grew up in Morocco, and as I came up as a queer person, feeling lonely, not having a role models, and kind of like having to learn it the hard way and find community and learn all of it about it was a piece of it that I've carried with me as growing up and moving around. And then, when I came to the Montreal tech ecosystem, I was very involved in community, attending events, speaking at events. And, one of the things that started to be daunting on me is that my queer community and tech community was separated, and kind of remind me again in Morocco where I had my straight friends and queer friends and kind of two separate groups.
Yeah.
And also I wasn't seeing myself in the room, right? Like
Okay.
a lot of, especially around 2011, 2012, a lot of the rooms were very male dominated, straight, white, I could count, people of color in hand, women.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, I would ask for queer people, and maybe I'll get a hand in the back that's like kind of just showing up slowly, and people are not very sure or comfortable if they can, kind of show themselves in these spaces. And so, that experience have really led me to start think about, well, why are we not in these spaces? Tech is the
Yeah.
future, and why are we not in these spaces? And so, because again, I've been very involved in the tech ecosystem. When I met my co-founder Andy, who grew up in Texas and had similar experiences, even it's two different countries and realities, but we have that same experience, right? And then he was in the tech ecosystem in New York and also went through that. And so as we were talking, he was running a QueerTech group in New York, and so that was my inspiration. It was like, great, well, I should start a QueerTech group in Montreal. And so that's how QueerTech was born in September, October 2016.
Amazing. I mean, obviously, I always wish that folks didn't have to experience that isolation and that loneliness and that, need, but ultimately something beautiful has been born out of that need. So it's incredible that you've taken that and turned it into what it is today. So let's learn a little bit more about, for those who maybe aren't familiar, what is the entire mission behind QueerTech? What's it all about at its core?
Yeah. So when we talk about queer tech, we say we want to queer the tech ecosystem, and it's about increasing to us LGBTQ representation in tech. But there are really three components in our mission. The first one is breaking down barriers. That's really important. The way we do that is by the programs that we have. We have three cohort style program: QT Access, QT Leaders, and QT Founders. These three programs really serve as a holistic approach to really change and affect change in the tech ecosystem. Then we look at the second piece of our mission, which is connecting communities and creating spaces. Creating spaces is really important because we are looking to create a space for our community, either in the digital world or in the physical world. And so our meetups is where the organization was created and kind of started, and we continue to do those across the country. We launched in Halifax last year, and we're looking to do activities in Atlantic Canada. But that's kind of the spirit. And then we have now digital platform also, QueerTech.org, which is that virtual space where we connect our community. And then connecting communities is really important to us because I don't see QueerTech as a silo that exists on its own. We are a bridge to the tech community. Sorry about that. To the tech community, and so we're really looking at connecting our community to the tech ecosystem, connect our community with other partners. We connect them a lot with your program, DNS, and so really continuing to build that bridge with different tech and to us LGBTQ community.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about it all the time, especially here on this podcast, that I think the idea of, an increasingly digital world, it can, when you don't have the added layers of maybe you're part of the queer community, it already can be a very isolating experience. That, one of the benefits of tech is that you can do it anywhere. You can, have those connections quite literally anywhere in the world. But that also means sometimes we're working remotely and, you're not in with your team because they're in Texas or Morocco or wherever, right? So having that feeling of community, I think, is so important when, as humans, we can kind of lose sight of that because of how digital it actually works. So I love that you're bridging that gap, like you say. I think it's really important.
Yeah, and I want to add also, like, one of the things we've learned in the pandemic is that, when you think about Canada, a vast and huge country,
Yes.
queer people are getting served in major cities, but once we leave those cities, there is not a lot of activities for queer people, right? And so in a country that this big, not everyone can travel to a meetup in Montreal, Toronto, or Halifax. And so the digital space we're creating is to give people who are not in those big major cities that access to the community and that sense of community.
Yeah, I love that. Okay. So obviously you've got that digital side, but there is an in-person side to this as well. The Cutie Conference. Yeah. I love that name, by the way. It's so cute. The 2024 third annual conference with a Q in Toronto. For those who haven't been able to attend, what is that all about?
Yeah. So the QT conference is part of the programming that we provide. And that, so when, I talked a little bit about creating spaces, the QT Connect meetups, the QT conference, our digital platforms are kind of fulfilling that part of our mission. It's about creating spaces. The meetups are about queer people connecting in their city with each other on a quarterly basis. They come and meet and live that community. And then the QT conference is bringing the QueerTech community from coast to coast to coast together. So last year in Toronto, it was in Toronto, and so it was really it was an amazing moment because the conference was happening the day after the elections, and
Oh,
so
wow.
what better day to be in community than that day,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the results of the election, and so it was profoundly impactful, right? Like we had about 600 people came in between the 2 days, and
Wow.
that was the the first thing people say is like, I'm doom scrolling at home and I'm just nervous and
Yeah.
stressed about all this. And so to leave the house and come to a space where community was truly impactful for a lot of them.
Oh, that's beautiful. My gosh. What a talk about a juxtaposition too, hey, to go from something so divisive to something so opposite of that. That's really, oh, that gave me gave me goosebumps to hear that. I love that. You touched on it a little bit, the Cutie Connect meetup, the first one ever held in Halifax this past summer. We were some sponsors. I myself didn't get to it. I was at a different event that day, but I know my manager Quinn was there, and she said it was fantastic. But I want to hear from you how it went. How did we do showing up from the community here in Halifax?
We had an amazing showing. I mean, we all, we talk about Atlantic Canada and people in the East Coast being just kind and fun and amazing, and that was it, right? People have showed up. They were very supportive. People were really helping about putting it together. We had people like Isaac, who used to
Yes.
work in team
Yes,
with
yes,
us,
yes, yes.
for helping us put it all together, right? And community, really community members just stepping up, right, to the occasion, and then people have showed up, right? And so that's really key for us to continue to do what we do, is that our community is excited and show up, and now I get messages people want more of it. So we're excited
Okay.
to continue doing these meetups in Halifax.
Amazing. Okay, so can we say that then? Is there already plans for the next one to happen here?
Yeah, so we're working right now to finalize. It's going to be around end of March. The exact dates
Okay.
will come out soon, but
Ooh,
that's going to be our next one.
exciting, exciting. Okay, I'm really happy to hear that we're showing up and that we're showing our support in that way. Because again, yeah, our community here is huge, so we definitely want to take part. And shout out, you're right. Shout out to Isaac for everything that they do for our community too, just above and beyond, and a former DNS team member as well.
Yeah.
Um, okay, the Cutie conference itself, kind of like that big ultimate meetup of. I feel like the Connect meetups are kind of like the mini versions, and then the Toronto conference is the big guy. Do we have details for 2025 yet?
Yeah, so the QT conference moves around to
Okay.
different cities, right?
Okay.
So it was in Montreal the year after that. This year we're looking to do it in Calgary.
Okay.
So we're going to bring the QueerTech community there. We're working on the date. It's going to be sometimes in October this year.
Okay.
So we're working to finalize the date. And the conference continue to be the same thing. We run 4 tracks for the community. We have leadership development. There's a technical track, leadership development track, and an entrepreneurship track. And so really these tracks really support kind of get most of our community or everyone in the community that experience they're looking for in terms of learning and connections.
Okay, my next question was going to be who should attend, but that kind of does answer it a little bit. You've got a little bit of something for everybody, it seems.
Yeah, so the 3 audiences that we serve as an organization and we think about from a community perspective are early careers. So those are the queer people that we're going to support to break into the tech industry and kind of start their career in tech. We have also growing leaders is our professional community. It's our largest one. This is where we support queer people from 3+ years of experience. And so there is also a lot of content for them, advanced content for, if you're a techie professional, but there is also that mid-career if you're looking for leadership and stuff. And then we have the entrepreneurship, right? So if you're an early stage entrepreneurs or a serial entrepreneurs that are looking to come and connect with community, connect with like angel investors and investors or VCs, these are opportunities that we're creating for the community to come together for that.
Nice. Again, yeah, kind of covering all your bases. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're going to switch gears a little bit here, but it's kind of keeping on that same theme of what you just mentioned about the entrepreneurs. You guys have some really exciting news. You have recently launched Canada's first ever accelerator program for the 2S LGBTQIA plus entrepreneurs. Please tell me all about this. And first of all, congratulations, because this is an incredible accomplishment.
Thank you. This is definitely, we're very excited for this program. As I mentioned earlier, QueerTech takes this holistic approach to tech, right? We have the QT Access that cohort supports people entering the industry. The QT Leaders is looking at develop more queer leaders into leadership role and executive role. And in the third piece, we see that's really important to our holistic approach to tech is producing more queer founders and supporting more queer founders. And so this program comes to really complete that circle that we've started in supporting our community. If QueerTech have acquired an accelerator, so it's a small accelerators that was based out of Toronto called Gradient Spaces. They were very close partners to us. We worked with them. They kind of started the program, but didn't have the funding or the capacity to grow it. And so QueerTech absorbed it, and now we are relaunching this program. We were also lucky to get support and funding from CGLCC, the Canadian LGBT Chamber of Commerce, that's supported by the Government of Canada. So this is kind of where the funding coming for that program. And so we are relaunching that first cohort. QueerTech will be doing sometimes end of March, beginning of April.
Amazing. That's fantastic. I love that you're receiving the support and also kind of able to give that support then where it wasn't able to kind of get the feet underneath of it and really become something. I feel like that's going to change now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. Love that. So I want to kind of expand a little bit more on that. Who exactly is this accelerator program for, and what will it entail? I mean, I know it's for that entrepreneurial level, but who are you hoping, kind of takes part in this program?
Yeah, so what we're looking at, this is going to be an early stage startup. So people who are really looking at, this is going to be their first entrepreneurship experience. We're looking at companies who either have incorporated or looking to incorporate. And in the third piece, we see looking at building and scaling a business. And so those kind of like the criteria that we're looking at for this first cohort. We know that there is a lot more support that the community need, but we feel like for this program to be successful, we needed to look at the profile of entrepreneurs who are at a similar stage of their career, launching it, the stage of the company, but also the need that they need to grow, so we can build some synergy between the people in the cohort.
Has the application process started yet for folks to be able to apply to take part?
Yes, the application have opened sometimes in December. It just recently closed, and we had quite a bit of numbers of people that apply. So we're going to be reviewing all the applications that we received, and the goal is to select about 10 to 12 people.
Oh, very exciting. For you personally, having, grown up and experienced and kind of gotten in, on the ground floor of creating, QueerTech here in Canada, what would a program like this have meant to you when you were just getting your feet under yourself?
What a wonderful question. I wish QueerTech was there when I started in tech. Yeah, when I moved here, I'm an immigrant that moved here. I had some friends, but I didn't know anything about the city, the province, the country, the tech industry, right? And founding a community that can come and provide community. And community means friendship, but also means support and resources to kind of navigate the industry and navigate the complexity of it, right? If you've never worked in tech and have not been in the startup world, it takes a while to wrap your hand around it. Absolutely. And all the complexity that come with it. And so I wish it was there for me, so I could learn from all the people that were there.
What are you hearing on the opposite side then? What are you hearing from the folks who are, kind of utilizing your resources and turning to you for that community?
Yeah, the QueerTech have been successful because of the need that also exists in the market. When we launched the initiative, in 2 weeks we had 100 people. In a year it was 1,000 people.
Wow.
Today we're 10,000 people from coast to coast to coast again, and so it's a community that continue to grow. And the first piece that we bring to people is the power of community, is really feeling being part of something, belonging somewhere. And I think that's really something that's hard to find someone in tech when we go to work at a startup, where you might not find people who look like you and act like you, and you feel
Mm-hmm.
like you're the only person in the room. QueerTech provide that sense of community. And then there are the resources, right? As we work and we partner with organizations like yourselves, right, is guiding people to the resources. And we know the organization we work with, and so we are sending them to navigate also the tech ecosystem, because it's not easy to understand and operate, and there is so much out there that we can do. And then the third piece we're working on is just building that resource center, and launching queertech.org, and providing a platform where people can collect when they are not at a meetup, can connect with each other. They can ask for a resume review, or they can ask for a mentor, or advice, or a resource. Sometimes just to share an experience that
Yeah.
happened to them, right? And providing that space becomes very important, especially today, when our community is under attack from different politicians
Yeah.
and other out there.
Yeah, because that's the reality, isn't it? We're, it's 2025, and yet I feel like we've maybe almost, without getting too political, we've almost gone a little bit backwards when it comes to that support and people feeling comfortable being themselves. It has to be. It has to be hard. You mentioned about navigating through, just the tech world and the startup world in general being a little bit difficult. And as somebody who's, fairly new to it myself, I can fully vouch for that side of it. But it has to add another layer of complication, I guess I would say, to try and navigate when you're probably feeling attacked on a personal level as well as a professional level.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've seen like online hate have exponentially grown. The last stats I saw from the police was 388% in the last 7 years. 80, I think it was something like over 80% of queer people have seen or have been themselves a subject of an online hate. So we've seen it, and the numbers are staggering. And it's unfortunate, right? Because
Yeah.
I moved to Canada for the exact opposite reason here, right? I moved here. I moved to the US first, and I left the US after 3 years to move to Canada, because Canada had that human rights that even in the US didn't have, like same-sex marriage and having that
Yeah.
protection. And so seeing that going backwards is very hard. But our community have fought before and will continue to fight.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's so important for you to be doing the work that you're doing, and creating, the inclusive space that you are. So for a second here, I do want to talk about the impact, because what you guys have done is, like I've said it before, it's been beautiful. You've had more than 125 events held since 2016, over 200 corporate and nonprofit partners across the Canadian tech ecosystem, and Digital Nova Scotia is proud to be one of those. Seeing it all come to life, and especially in today's day and age, that impact that you guys do have as an organization, how has that felt to be behind that?
I'm extremely proud of what we've built.
Good, you should be.
Community continue to show up at every event we do, either virtual or in person. And the impact, we're just beginning on it, right? There are queer people in this country, and they want to contribute to the growth of this country, the innovation of this country. And so we're excited that we can pave the path for them to do so. So we can impact, right? There is a huge economic impact that we are looking to accomplish as an organization by elevating our queer community, who, a lot of people still live in poverty, and a lot of people have experienced homelessness and mental health issues. And so, I'm proud that we can be there for them and create that space so they can thrive. in the tech industry.
Love that. You mentioned it a little bit. You guys have a mentorship program within QueerTech. Is that something that Nova Scotians can get behind, can take part in, both on the mentor and the mentee side of things?
Absolutely, 100%. So all our programs have a mentorship program in them. Really, this is something that's very important to us. And so, one of the unique things we're looking at is just from a skills perspective, we also match people's according to the lived experience, and we find bringing the lived experience and the skills and the competencies can really have a powerful impact on people who are navigating the industry. If you're a trans person trying to navigate the workforce as you're transitioning, who's best than another trans person who've already done it to kind of walk you through what is that feels like, but also bring in that competency level where they can, and skills level that they can also transfer that knowledge and support. So they, anyone from coast to coast to coast can apply for these programs. And as we grow, we're always looking for mentors and mentees. When people sign up on queertech.org, they can mention if they want to be mentors or mentees or both. And so we take that in consideration when we look out for mentors and mentees.
Nice and easy. I love that. And it really is such a simple concept, isn't it? That the idea of just connecting with somebody who doesn't even have to be the exact same lived experience, but something similar. It can really just show that, if this person can do it, maybe so can I. It just seems like such a simple concept.
It is, and people in today's world wants to see role models, right? And this is why we talk about representation is very important. It's not because we just want people to be there; it's because it's extremely important. If we want communities to be involved, if companies wants to be hiring from all communities, you need to have that representation at all level of the organization, starting with your leadership team or C-suite team. And so that's what we work for, is like we want to create that representation. We want to have role models for our community members. So when young generation, as they come out of the closet and they kind of find themselves and they can look outside, they can see people who look like them, and that can act as an inspiration for them to want to get there.
Yeah, such a simple concept with profound impact, I think.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
With all of that in mind then, what does the future of QueerTech look like to you? You guys bringing the Cutie Conference here?
Absolutely. So, the conference moves around, now that we are growing, our goal is to grow the community in Halifax, and we'll be talking with the community to see what the interest there. We have some partners who are also excited, partners like you. We have also corporate partners that are looking for this. So the opportunity is there, and I think we'll be excited to do that. One of the things we're looking at is we created something we call Vision 2034, and this is what I'm excited for, because when we look at QueerTech, we think a lot about how do we scale our impact, right? And that's really important to us, because if we want to affect change in the tech industry, that representation is very important. And so, we've decided that we want to achieve about 60,000 queer people trained, upskills and reskills in different ways to be part of this industry. We're looking at 5,000 people to move into leadership role and executive roles.
Wow.
Train 10,000 entrepreneurs, with 1,000 of them getting funding, VCs or angel investor or some sort of funding that can amount to $1 billion. So that's really
Wow.
big goal that
Yeah.
we're looking for a lot of partners and support, and looking for our community to help us, move towards that goal and achieve as much as we can out of it in the next 9 years.
So if somebody's listening to this and they're saying, that sounds like something I can get behind, how do they get in touch? How can they help out? What ways can they show that support?
Yeah. So the first step, people who are communities or allies can sign up on queertech.org. It's the best way to be part of the community. All the opportunities we have are getting shared through social media, through our newsletter on the platform. So that's the best way to do. The second one is connecting us with your employer, connecting us with other community members. And the third piece, donate. You can donate time by volunteering, or you can donate some money to support the program and the funds that we have to continue to do the work that we do.
Just a fantastic initiative to get behind. If corporations, nonprofits, people, if you're listening, It's a good one to get behind. Naoufel, we're at the end of my questions from my side, which just feels like the time absolutely flew by here. But I'll leave it to you now for the last word. Is there anything new and exciting that we haven't touched on already that you would like to cover? Any new news coming down the pipeline? The floor is yours.
Yeah, absolutely. We're excited for the program to be launched. We just launched a grant announcement that we've made this week to support our corporate partners to build inclusive practice and hire from the community. I'm really excited for this program because it also have a component to build education toolkits and workshops for AI developers to build inclusive models.
Okay.
And so thinking about how can we make the internet safer again for our community. So hopefully through these algorithms that we're building, that we can contribute to that safety for our community. So I'm extremely excited for these projects. And so if there are any companies that are part of that listen to your podcast and want to partner with us, they can reach out to me, they can reach out to us. And also if you're doing an AI developer and want to be involved, come and reach out to me.
Okay, we've got a couple of those within our membership and I think within our listenership as well. So fingers crossed somebody does reach out, because that I feel like is such a big one these days. I mean, that online world is so great when it's in a positive sense, but it can be, like you said before, it can be such a negative space to exist in. So yeah, I'm going to have to reach back out to you about that one once things kind of get rolling on that, because I want to learn more about that too. Okay. If there's nothing else, by all means, that sounds like a good note to end things on my end. Is there anything else that you wanted to touch on?
No, that's great. And thank you again for the invite and amplifying the QueerTech voice in your podcast.
Absolutely. Any way that we can help. We love amplifying the voice of our members, especially when there's that little added extra layer of importance, I think. And this one is definitely a good one. Naoufel, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Recorded by This Is Marketing, unblanding branding since 2015.